Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here in Diablo IV PTR, checking out Helltide. Now Helltide has not been my most favorite activity, always kind of felt lackluster and unrewarding, but now Helltide is actually a lot better than it was before. There's a ton more monsters, you can get all sorts of different boss drops in terms of summoning materials just all over the place. There's a ton more monsters that are going to be coming at you. There's now kind of like a GTA wanted system, which you can see as a tracker. And there's like an additional little boss that you can summon in the Helltide. We'll get to all of that, but one of the things I really want to point out right off the bat is that there are now whispers that come with every single Helltide, and these do move around as Helltide moves around. And these are just like kill a bunch of monsters and get progress on your grim favors. Then there is this one here, Slay the Blood Maiden. And pretty much what this does is there is an event, which I believe are in both regions, and I'm not sure if doing it in either region will count, but if you do it in the region with that particular whisper, it summons a whole ton of monsters and a boss. It's kind of like similar to Season 2, where there were 3 little pillars that you can channel blood into. Just like that, you just put a heart into those. These hearts come out of the different boxes that you can find across the land that you open with cinders. And I noticed that every single time I opened like the Tortured Gift of Mysteries or the Living Steel, I always got a heart out of those. So I believe that's probably the way that you want to farm these. One thing I just kind of noticed though, when I was playing this around just one other person, me and one of my mods, we were getting a lot of cinders very, very quickly, thanks to all the enemies that come. We were like at over 1,000 cinders each within like 25 to 30 minutes. And that was even sweating. Both of our builds are pretty janked thrown together. I'm playing a frost orb type of build without the new winter glass unique. And so it's just kind of like halfway there. But let's hop into Helltide real quick. Now, one thing to note is this little GTA meter here. As you kill monsters that are all over the place, this meter will go up. And that meter basically, oh yeah, here's the thing for summoning. The meter basically has a couple of different breakpoints on it. And once you get to those different breakpoints, oh, here's the boss of the region. Just throw some stuff at him real quick. Maybe we'll kill him, just get some loot. As those, as the meter progresses, just like in Season 2, where you get a ton of monsters kind of coming at you. We had a ton of monsters here in Helltide. There's these like worms that come up out of the ground, and wow, that's a lot of legendaries. There's these worms that come up out of the ground, and they will disgorge a ton of monsters directly in your face. Wow, we're getting like most of our whisper done here automatically. Nice. And just tons and tons and tons of monsters. But once you fill out the meter all over the way, so you see the forces of hell grow angry, and now more enemies are going to start just spawning on us. And this does work in a party, by the way. But as you get all the way out to the far end of the meter, you're going to have the meter start depleting, and you'll have like waves and waves and waves of enemies come at you. Which is can be a little intense, especially if you're playing with anybody else, because each person can get their own waves coming to them. So I could really see leveling in like a group of 4 here being like a very effective way to level, since Helltide will be in World Tier 1 and World Tier 2 as well. And you can just get tons of monsters coming your way. Now there's whispers as well. And it's, I think it's going to be a pretty good time. Like, we don't know anything yet about the seasonal mechanic, but I think that even just this change to Helltide alone has been pretty good. I'm going to try to get this meter up a little bit more. Maybe like run a little bit down here, see if we can find some elites. So as the meter comes up, we can get these like elite packs kind of spawning on us like that. And you definitely get some whenever your meter progresses. But you definitely can get more that just appear randomly while you're running around. I'm not sure if there's like breakpoints for that or anything, but yeah, these like hell worms come out of the ground and just release tons of monsters. It can be a little bit annoying because if you're trying to go somewhere, they can kind of get in your way and they can somewhat knock you off your mount. But overall, Helltide is just a lot thicker than it was before in terms of monsters. And it feels a lot more worth just doing and running around. as opposed to just try to go through her. There's also these doomsayers you can find. I've had these guys spawn a little monster, treasure goblin this time. You see the difference in treasure goblin. So we got a 2 distilled fear from killing that, which typically you'd only be able to get from, oh, here's one of the worms. He's just puking up a ton of monsters, which we're blasting down ourselves. But yeah, treasure goblins are kind of improved. You can get things like distilled fear just from dropping random rare drops off of monsters, and it's going to be a lot easier to kind of go through the boss ladder than it was in previous seasons, especially because distilled fear that goes and lets you fight the beast in ice, and the beast in ice now leads, I believe, to the new uber boss or Andariel, which has the same exact loot table as Duriel. It'll just be kind of a different fight for you to go and take on, but realistically it's just more rewards, so we'll be able to just kind of progress and get to uber uniques and really start gearing out quicker. And there's even like super duper versions of those as well. Okay, we are pretty, oh, more monsters just kind of spawning on us. We are pretty close here to maxing out the meter. And when you max out the meter, like, you can definitely tell, like, the scream is a little bit louder. There it is. And so now the meter is going to go down. And as it does, monsters are going to spawn around us. And like I said before, this does count in a group. And so if you are near somebody or in a party with somebody who has their meter going down, all of these monsters that spawn would give you meter instead. And so you can kind of piggyback off one another, I think. I think having like a group of people that are all kind of like gaining or losing meter one after another is probably going to be pretty popular, especially because if you have 4 people that are spawning monsters on top of each other, the density just gets very intense. And so this final wave here, at the end of it, we'll have like a little mini boss. This is similar to the guys from season 2 that were like, this is a druid here, so he has druid like skills. And they're a little bit tankier than normal elite, and they give you quite a bit of loot and some exquisite blood. So this is a way for you to work towards farming Zir as well. And so even with just doing a little bit of Helltide, I've got like enough living steel here. We had like a total of 30, I believe, so far. We did a couple of them earlier today. We did Varshan, we did a Duriel, we did a couple of the lifts for this. And so I think it's a lot easier now to go and kind of interact with these endgame mechanics. And overall, I think Helltide is a lot better, especially if you're running around with a group of people. There's going to be a lot of monsters for you to fight. And the more monsters you kill, the more monsters you're going to spawn. And it's just really going to lead into this like big kind of rolling ball of monsters. Hopefully this video helped you, see what's going on with the PTR. Feel free to hop on it and check it out and let me know what you think. See ya.